Hello and welcome to Wednesday Night Standard here at GameSwap in beautiful Mason, Ohio. I am Jason Morgan here with my good friend Robert Meadows.
That's me.
And we are here for 3 commentated but 4 total rounds of hot, fresh, sleeveless standard action. He is going in raw. What a welcome surprise.
This is not 1996 anymore,
yeah,
boys.
well, I hope he got tested because he's not wearing any protection.
I mean...
Anthony Hawkins on the left with a green-blue pre-made deck.
Oh, it might just be one of those starter decks that...
Yeah. And Jake Valentine on the right with his take on Temur Energy. You know, I really hope he just gets walloped by this.
I really do, too. Like,
pre-made deck.
I mean, you of all people should really know what Jake should be doing in his deck right now.
Well, I mean... you know, I took a good guess. I made a good guess.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Yeah. I mean, Champion Wits was probably great for you all weekend.
Champion Wits was dirty.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, solidified the blue-red matchup. Well, the blue-based control matchup. Yeah, so hello out there, everybody in internet land. Robert is referring to the deep run I made at the Star City Games Open this past weekend here in Cincinnati. So, yeah, if you want to see what I played, go to Star City Games website and check out the top 8 lists. I luck-sacked my way in and backdoored at 11-3-1. Got in on breakers.
And you can check my list out in top 64.
You're breaking up. You gotta not move around so much over there. There's a short in that wire. So anyway.
Oh, that sucks.
Jake here with the turn 2 Servant of the Conduit, getting the 2 energy. You know, I didn't see his hand.
I think I saw I saw the Spider Bluff you just played.
You're still breaking up, man.
Life sucks.
That's why I wanted you to take that microphone.
Oh.
So, Anthony with a turn 3 creature.
I don't know what it does either, honestly.
Yeah, you're still breaking up. You're not even there.
All right, what about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go. You're back.
Cool. Oh yeah, like wasn't there like 20 of those things by the draft table earlier?
There we go. Weaver of Currents. I mean, he's going to ramp into something.
Yeah. Who knows? It might be Ulamog.
Probably not in a starter deck.
Hey man, he could have bought one card and it could be one Ulamog. Not one of.
He's diligently reading his cards to see what they do. Jake tapping the Servant for a mana here.
Is it a Warlover Shruffso?
Looks to be a tireless tracker.
All right, yeah, that's probably better than
running it out
right here.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be able to make some sequencing decisions that would generally be pretty risky or non-optimal in matchups where you're playing against, you know, tiered decks. Generally not something that I would do personally. I would tracker would be one of the last threats that I would run out, just to make sure that my opponent had used as much removal prior, so I could get as much value out of it as possible.
Yeah, you can just like start generating card advantage.
Sure.
With tracker, then just run over your opponent.
Yeah, but at this point, I mean, it's totally fine.
Yeah, because I don't think a blue-green deck has much removal, if any.
Probably not.
Nah. I mean, I don't think this much is going to happen regardless on the left side of the table.
And Jake tapping 3 to play my favorite card from the new set, Champion of Wits. Ladies and gentlemen, this card was absolutely insane for me all weekend. It doesn't look like much on the surface, especially on the front end, right? 3 mana for a 2/1, draw 2, discard 2.
Yeah.
But
is it charm?
Sure, without a body.
Yeah.
But I gotta tell you, you know, Temur Energy is a mid-range deck with some really bad draws going long. Things like lands and attunes and sometimes even servants if you don't really need the energy. And what this card does on the front end is it gets you to the more powerful cards in your deck. I mean, the reason that you're playing Temur Energy is to be able to do things like make 7/6 hexproof creatures for 4 mana. Things of that nature. Of course, Glory Bringers, which are glorious.
Yep, I've lost to several long quest cups in my life before.
Right. Yeah, things like that. And so Champion of Wits allows you to get past the undesirable cards in any given matchup and get to the cards that you really, really want to have.
Yeah, like you just filter through all the bad cards in certain matchups and you just get the better cards you want in that certain matchup.
Right. Yeah, so Jake discarding a Long Tusk Cub and an Abrade here, which, you know, is totally fine at this point in the game. He's got the Tireless Tracker in play, a couple of clues, that sort of thing. He's in really good shape, not going to need that removal spell, and doesn't have a ton of energy in the reserve here, so no reason to hold on to that Cub either.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure Jake's okay with this.
Right, sure, yeah. Already with 4 lands in play. Only needs 1 more to be able to cast any spell in his deck.
Yep.
So no problem getting rid of that Servant with a trade. And then so back to Champion of Wits. I got to tell you that the Eternalize on this is just glorious. It is worth every single bit of 7 mana. You get a 4/4. Draw 4
cards.
Discard 2.
Yeah, you gain 2 cards.
Right, without spending a card.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's uncounterable. So, I mean, something like Disallow or the cycling effect on Nimble Obstructionist will stop what you're doing, but it's got to be that.
Yes.
Essence Scatter?
No.
No bueno.
Nissa's Encouragement. Alright, what does this card do?
Search your library and graveyard for a card named Forest?
And Forest and Brimble.
So 5 mana, draw 4? I mean, it's not terrible.
No, like, especially if you have multiple of every card in your deck, I can totally see this just gaining 3 cards in your hand immediately.
Yeah, so I'm guessing this is another one of these starter deck exclusive cards.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because I don't think the Nissa from Amonkhet isn't Nissa Genesis Mage. It's from the one from the starter deck, right?
Right. I'd really like to see Jake just get beat like a ragdoll here.
Yeah, I think everyone would enjoy to see that.
It's very unlikely, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
You know, I mean, just based on the power level of his cards, Jake would basically have to have both of his hands lopped off to be unable to continue playing Magic for him to lose this match, more than likely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a way for him to lose unless unless Anthony somehow answers everything Jake's doing right now, and he just draws straight lands.
Right, maybe Upheaval into Psychotog.
Yeah, I think that could get there.
Yeah. Something along those lines. Maybe a Time Spiral with a Mind Over Matter and a Tolarian Academy and multiple artifacts in play.
Oh, yeah, I think I would concede it at that point.
Right. Yeah, something along those lines.
Actually, I'd probably call a Judge first, because those cards aren't legal in Standard.
Unbelievably, they were at one time. That's
how
old I am.
Back.
Yeah, you weren't even born back then. Don't give me that.
Yeah, I was. I was what, like 97, 96?
Yeah, and you were what, running around in Pampers, maybe?
No, I was running around naked in my front yard.
Oh.
Get it right.
I'm not talking about yesterday. This wasn't yesterday.
Okay, that was only for like 2 minutes, okay? But yeah, like, it's going to have to take some miracle for Anthony to win this game, probably. And, I mean, once, like, Jake hits his 5th land job, I'm pretty sure it's just lights out at that point.
Right, so in our defense, we had no idea that Mr. Hawkins was on a starter deck. I really just wanted to get Jake on camera so I could talk about how poorly he was playing this deck.
Yeah, that was the entire intention completely. I can confirm that. We just wanted to... We really put Jake on camera just to burn him. Nothing else. Ooh, a Flash Dude.
Yeah, which is totally fine. I tell you what, chump attacking with Champion of Wits, completely fine. You would not believe the amount of damage that I was able to sneak through with that guy, because people just did not want him in my graveyard so I can eternalize him.
Oh yeah, like most of the time I just let him resolve into this Magma Spray because I had the Magma Spray because I'm a Luxat like that.
Sure, and that's totally fine. Like if you're Magma Spraying that, I've already gotten a bit of selection value on the front end, so it's totally cool.
I know, but at least it like prevents like the back half later in the game.
Sure.
Which is probably more relevant.
Sure.
If we're both top decking.
Right, and in the blue-based control matchups that I played this past weekend, and there were 5 of them, 3 blue-red and 2 blue-black. Particularly against the blue-red, I would run out my other threats first to draw out those Magma Sprays. If I had a Champion of Wits in hand, just to make sure that that was not an option for my opponent, or it was very unlikely that it would be.
And do you think if your deck list becomes more popularized with Champion Wits being more mainstream, do you think that those lines of plays would be changing in the future, where they would be holding on that Magma Spray for the Champion of Wits?
Well, I mean, you would think, but the thing about it is that you're able to present, so many threats, and even a Grizzly Bear off Servant of Conduit, a 2/2 for 2, like they're going to have to deal with it at some point.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I had to deal with a 2/2 Grizzly Bear several times over the weekend.
Sure, and it also represents an ability to ramp to bigger stuff, to play around Censor, that sort of thing. So while one could say that, yeah, I'll just hold this Magma Spray for the Champion of Wits that I know he's going to be running out here pretty soon, well, that's fine, because Rogue Refiner and Servant of the Conduit are going to beat you down.
Oh yeah, all right. No, I was just curious about that.
Yeah, that's the thing, right, with Temur Energy, is that, I mean, it's basically, so my list was 26 creatures and 13 spells, 21 lands, right? So it's just a whole stack of creatures. And particularly after sideboard, when things like Harness Lightning and the main deck Magma Sprays come out, it's a whole stack of creatures and some negates.
Yeah.
Right? So you just don't have the option
to really pick it
most of the time.
Yeah, I can see that, definitely.
Yeah, and I was just very consistently able to outcard my blue control opponents.
All right. What were some of the matchups that you lost to over the weekend?
Well, my first loss came to a gentleman that finished, I think, 24th or 26th, John Roberts.
All right. I remember him.
Temur Monsters.
Yeah.
Right.
And that one, what was that one card in his sideboard?
the Draft All-Star.
Yeah, 6/7, 6-mana hexproof.
Scaled Behemoth. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It turns out the only way I had in my deck to deal with that was by blocking.
That doesn't sound very good in your creature-based deck.
Right. Yeah. So game 3 against that guy, I am looking at 2 Glory Bringers and 2 Hours of Devastation in my hand, and all 4 of those cards being able to do literally nothing against the threats that he was presenting. Yeah. It was pretty crazy, but kudos to that guy for making some very informed decisions on the cards he was choosing to play, and being well positioned against the cards that he anticipated his opponents playing.
Yeah, that was probably pretty smart of him.
His list was published. To be honest, on paper it does not look great, but I got to tell you, it was real tough to play against. Yeah. In game 3 against him, turn 3 he made a 6/6 Vigilance Trampler. Yeah. On his turn 3.
Woodland Bellower?
Yeah, Woodland something or another. Woodland kick me in my face and call me a little girl. Because that's what it did.
Yeah. It's one of those converged cards that just got +1/+1 for every color you spent on it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a 2/2. It is not a triggered ability. So you can't respond to the counters being put on there by, say, Magma Spraying it or Braiding it or Harness Lighting it. It just comes in as a 5/5 or a 6/6, depending on how many colors of mana they've spent on it. And sure enough, he made one on turn 3 on the play.
Yeah, Wizards probably made it so it wasn't a triggered ability because they knew in Shadows of Innistrad that Galvanic Bombardment was going to be a card, and they really don't like it when their 1-mana common beats a 3-mana rare in Constructed.
4-mana rare.
4 mana. My bad.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, Jake did get that one pretty much on the back of card quality, certainly not on play skill.
Yeah. I think Anthony's probably a much better player than Jake is. I mean, that's not hard in general to
Right.
be.
Well, Anthony's so good, he decided he wanted to challenge himself by playing this starter deck. Yeah, he's like, I don't even really need to try anymore.
Yeah, like
I'm just going to grab this starter deck and school some people.
Yeah, and Jake's Valentine's his first victim.
What was that? I feel like you just cursed at me. In German or something. Yeah, I don't even know what happened.
Oh, no. So it seems like Anthony wants to be on the draw first.
Oh, so he's chosen the cards over the tempo. Okay.
All right. Not a common strategy most people prefer.
Yeah. Definitely not playing 8-rack. And back to Modern.
Well, basically, the one thing I do enjoy about Standard is actually there's less decks you have to worry about in Standard most of the time, correct?
Well, not right now. I mean, sure, the top 8 and the top 32 from the Open this past weekend will inform the meta going forward. But I mean, I gotta say, like, Standard is just freaking amazing right now.
Oh yeah, like it's probably the most open it's been in a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know, but like if you compare it to the format of Modern, there's still way more deck selection in Modern compared to Standard right now.
I mean, only if you're talking about just the nonsense that people will bring to events sometimes. You know, I mean, if you're talking about tiered decks, you know, ones that are actually capable of winning tournaments, I would say that they're really similar in terms of diversity. Certainly, yeah. But that's the thing about Modern is that you can show up and, you know, somebody's playing Mono Black Tron with Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, and they're trying to exsanguinate you out of the game.
You know what? It's probably happened to you maybe, but not me because
well, that's the thing. Yeah, I know. I read about it on Reddit today.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like, it just feels like in Modern, the deck strategies available to them is a lot more potent because they just have...
Sure, but just because it's available doesn't mean it's viable.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
I mean, if your goal is to win a tournament, it doesn't necessarily mean it's viable. But as far as if your goal is to win a Standard tournament right now, you have just as many options as if your goal was to win a Modern tournament right now. I think.
All right.
You know, they're in similar neighborhoods.
Yeah,
like you know, it's not a 3-deck format or a 4-deck format. Certainly not rock paper scissors. All the matchups are real close, very interactive.
Yeah.
You know, so the other losses that I took were 2 losses, one in the Swiss and one in the quarters to Blue White Monument.
Yep.
And then another during the Swiss on day 2 to a Blue-White Spirits deck. Notably, both of those decks contain Spell Queller and Selfless Spirit.
Yeah, those 2 cards seems pretty hard against you if you're just trying to curve out perfectly.
Well, and if you're just playing a bunch of spot removal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And certainly those were the most difficult cards for me to deal with in both of those matchups.
I can see that.
Yeah, they're real good against Temur Energy. All right, so Jake getting in for 2, plays the Rogue Refiner.
Yep.
You know, I gotta say, a few weeks back, when I was commentating with Kyle Kepi, we saw one of these Temur Energy decks on camera, and I really, really undersold Rogue Refiner. And having played, you know, multiple rounds with it now in a relatively intense competitive setting, wow, is that card good?
Yeah.
I just a 3/2 for 3 mana that gives you 2 energy and draws you a card. It blew me away in testing and whatnot, since it was really my first experience with it.
Right.
And I did play Marvel You know, and it was in that deck, right? But that's, I mean...
It's two different decks at that point.
Yeah, it was there purely because it said draw a card and could block.
Yeah, and like, yeah, the 2 energy was nice, but like you just being able to dig deeper for the cards you needed in that Marvel deck was just too beneficial. Like, the energy was just a bonus because the Marvel deck got too much... It was fine on energy. It didn't need the 2 energy that Rogue Refiner made.
Right. I mean, sometimes it did. Sometimes it mattered, but... Not as often. In this list, the card is just so good. Interestingly, though, should be boarded out in the Monument matchup.
Yeah, like, I don't see that card doing anything in that matchup.
Just doesn't do a lot.
It's nothing.
Right. So Jake getting in here. Servant, Rogue Refiner, and a 4/3 Tireless Tracker.
It might become a 5/4 before damage, who knows.
No, it looks like he's going to use that 3 mana in the second main to play a Whirler Virtuoso. So Jake's real high on this card.
I mean, I can see why.
I only ran 1 copy for a reason.
And what's that reason?
Well, so your main payoff cards are Bristling Hydra and Long Tusk Cub.
All right.
Right. That's really where you and Harness Lightning. Right. So with the list as it stands, your Magma Sprays and your Abrades are for the smaller creatures. And because of the addition of a Braid, you can now hold your Harness Lightnings for the bigger creatures, but of course that means you're going to be sinking more energy into them than in prior iterations of the deck. Right? So you only want so many cards in your deck that incentivize you to spend energy to make them better. Right? And quite honestly, 3 energy for a 1/1 flyer is not a great rate. And there's not a lot of spots in the iterations of the matchups that are currently relevant in Standard where it matters, where that's exactly what you want. There are definitely times. There were maybe 2 games where it showed up and mattered, right? But certainly not enough to incentivize me
to run more than 1.
Yeah, were I going to be playing another Standard tournament here anytime soon?
No, it's going to be all Sweet Modern for us here soon.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I do have to say, in hindsight, I really feel like that I nailed the main deck. I feel like the numbers in the main deck were really, really good, and that's probably where you want to be.
All right. What about the sideboard? Would there be anything you change for the sideboard?
Well, we'll get back to that in the next round.
All right.
Because Jake just took this one 2-0. Really no surprises there, to be honest. Poor Anthony. I hope he had a good time playing on camera.
Yeah, like, I'm pretty sure if we both knew he was on a star deck, we wouldn't have done this.
Right.
Like,
yeah. You know, it's a harsh introduction to the Wednesday night here, but you know, he did his best. Got to play some cards. Got to be on camera.
Yeah.
Hope he had an enjoyable experience. And so we will be back here shortly with round 2 of some hot and ready, fresh Standard action. Join us then.
All right.